Hello, everyone, and welcome to MeowMix, the Carolina Panthers podcast. My name is Steven.
My name is Jerry. Marty Hurney has been fired. We discussed this last week. I was for firing him, and you were against it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was time. He's had plenty of time to build a successful team year after year, and he just wasn't able to do it. He's going to be missed because he would knock home runs in the first round.
Right. I think the Panthers will miss his draft preparation and scouting, things like that. It's kind of funny. You know, Jerry and I almost came to virtual blows in the version of the Marty Hurney debate that you will never hear because we just had to stop. And then 1 week later, he's fired. So, I like Marty Hurney. I think he's a nice guy. I think he was pretty good at his job, but unfortunately, the results don't reflect that. And it's a results-based job. So you're not, the Panthers aren't winning. And I don't blame Tepper. He came in, he gave Hurney a couple of years. He said that he learned a lot from Marty Hurney in terms of, running the day-to-day operations of a football team. Matt Rule has learned a lot from Marty Hurney. I think Marty Hurney served his purpose with this team the way it is right now.
I do too. And I don't think from kind of my gathering, it didn't seem like they just showed him the door and kicked him out, flipped him off on the way out. I think there was a mutual parting ways. And I think Marty Hurney had a feeling that it was probably going to go down this way.
How could he not, And this is very similar to last year when Tepper fired Rivera with a couple games left in the season, gives Marty Hurney an opportunity to see what jobs are out there, maybe a little head start on some of the other GMs that will be fired, as the season ends, and gives the Panthers time to start looking at, other options before other teams.
And I like that idea. I think holding on to a coach and GM just to the end of the season sometimes when you're already doing the research, go ahead and cut them loose and go ahead and full scale do your search.
Yeah. And it does beg the question, who's going to be the next Panthers GM? Obviously, we don't know that yet. Tepper has made it very clear that he will not be using a consulting firm, which makes you think that he has either a good idea about who he wants it to be, or he knows what he wants, essentially, what type of guy that he wants. So what we know is that Matt Rule is essentially in charge of the operations of the team, right?
Yeah. This GM position is not going to be like a normal GM position where they're over the coach and everything else. I think this is going to be a 1A, 1B, whereas the GM is 1A and then Matt Rule is 1B, or even have them switch with Matt Rule.
I think it's actually vice versa, yeah.
And where no matter what, I think it's getting flowed through Matt Rule. This is Matt Rule's organization. He just does not have the GM title.
Agreed. And Matt Rule has come out and said he does not want to be GM, which I don't blame him, because I think that's not a great thing for a head coach to also have to deal with all the day-to-day stuff.
Especially for a younger head coach, first time in the NFL.
Yeah, so check out Jason Hewitt from SI. We had him on our show a couple weeks ago. He did a good article where he detailed a lot of the internal candidates that could potentially be looked at as GM. I do want to talk about a couple of them here. Pat Stewart, who's been with the Panthers for a couple of years now. And then Samir Suleiman, who came from the Steelers organization and is currently the director of player negotiations and salary cap manager. I think Suleiman sounds like a natural progression.
Absolutely. Just because what we just said, the fact that Matt Rule's making the decisions on the players, and if this Suleiman is going to control the cap budget and everything, it makes sense to me. Matt Rule's making the football decisions while Suleiman will be the money guy. Hopefully they have a pro scouting department already worked out.
Yeah, I mean, listen to this. In Pittsburgh, now he was with Pittsburgh from 2013 to 2019, so obviously Tepper was familiar with him. because that's, Tepper was minority owner of the Steelers. So with the Steelers, here we go. With the Steelers, he managed the salary cap, player negotiations, and coordinated team logistics and scouting. That sounds a lot like what a GM does every day anyway.
Absolutely.
So I don't know how old he is in terms of, whether he's amenable to the analytics and everything that Tepper wants. It really doesn't matter how old he is, but I think he, that's a name to look for. And other names to look for, we hear a lot about Louis Riddick right now. He's interviewing all over the place. ESPN Monday Night Football analyst, former player. I think that some of the bigger names like that might not be candidates, or maybe candidates, but might not want it. You know what I'm saying? Because of not having all the control.
Exactly. This is not you're going to come in and pick your head coach and pick the players. This is going to be hand in hand with Matt Rule. And it may not be so much hand in hand as much as, hey, I want this guy, keep this guy, type of situation. Yeah.
Like Nick Caserio from the Patriots. That's always a name you hear. He's a young guy, 44 years old. I wouldn't expect him. I think he would go to a job where he has all the control. So I also don't expect a former GM like, Jeff Ireland's name is out there. Thomas Dimitrov's name's out there. I wouldn't expect a former GM to be even considered for the job. So I honestly feel like it's either going to be one of the internal guys or a name that you might not have heard of that comes in.
Yeah, I'm fine. GM is such a tricky thing. And I know, I know that they're going to do their research. Tepper is not the type of guy who's just going to go willy-nilly and throw someone out in there that's not ready. Yeah. At least that's my vision, the way he seems to do business.
Agreed. Here's a sneaky name to think about. Luke Dawson. He is the assistant director of college scouting for the Buffalo Bills. He's 48 years old. Since he's been there, the Bills have pretty much been in the playoffs 3 of the last 4 seasons since he was there. And he was the vice president of football operations with the Titans prior to going to the Bills. So keep an eye on that name. I don't have any sources telling me that, but just, I don't know. I have a feeling about him. Otherwise, it'll be interesting to follow the news that comes out of this. I would expect a GM to be hired pretty much immediately after the season is over.
I do too. I think so. I think he probably already has a guy in his head, and he just wants to do his due diligence. Another name I heard was Dan Morgan, former Carolina Panther, in the Buffalo Bills scouting department now. That he's a rising guy for a GM spot.
I wouldn't hate that. I wouldn't hate giving a guy like that a chance here, especially considering Rule is going to be the main decision maker.
Yeah.
I don't want to bring in somebody that doesn't know what they're doing.
Oh, no. Well, obviously.
Yeah. But
we want somebody good at the scouting department and good at the money part.
Yeah. And just because, Dan Morgan was a former Panther, that probably doesn't mean anything to Tepper because he wasn't here during that time. So he's going to hire the guy that's best for the job, not just a big name. So at first I was thinking, well, he's just going to hire the best person that's out there because he's got all the money. He'll just do the same thing he did with Rule and just break the bank if he has to. But I think this might be different.
I do too. I think he wants synergy. He wants everybody working together for the same goal. And
Agreed.